let me ask you this. So, we're here for multiple cycles. We're here in the long term. You've talked about that well. But obviously for the price to go up, new investors are going to come in and have to come in, and they certainly are and will. Right now, we're starting to see bigger influencers, and I know you're not. I don't know how often you're on Twitter. We don't see tweets from you all the time. But you may still be lurking in the background. But I don't know how much you're versed with what's been happening, because we are getting some bigger influencers suddenly talking about PulseChain now. Suddenly, because I think the price went up is part of it. But Ivan on Tech, he's been around for a while, but a guy with a lot of influence. He's likes Richard Hart, has talked about HEX for some time. Now we have BitBoy just the other day, this week, started to release PulseChain videos. Wendy O, just a couple of hours ago, was on a stream with Corey Costa from our own community, who always does a great job talking to new people to kind of bridge them over. What do you make of the growth of this ecosystem kind of socially right now? And do you think that we're going to see a continued kind of lifting of the veil from mainstream crypto around PulseChain? Because it seems like it's already starting to happen a bit here. And obviously with Richard and the SEC thing and him taking them head on and kind of fighting for really everybody in crypto, whether they want to realize it or not. Do you think that we do get a bigger, I guess, mainstream acknowledgement of this ecosystem this time around, where HEX was totally gatekept last time around? Do you think we start to see, again, that veil kind of come down with this ecosystem in this coming bull cycle?
Yeah, so there's been people who've been around for such a long time, right? And who studied crypto significantly more than I have. And a lot of these people that you mentioned, these big names, they've been around for a very long time, and they've studied this extensively. So I find it very, very, very difficult to believe that the realization that I had of what Bitcoin was created, for me to get it in the amount of time that I did, and if they even understand that themselves, which I'm pretty sure that they do, they understand PulseChain, HEX, and PulseX. Now, the reason why they never talked about it is because it's one of those topics that is controversial, right? But it doesn't mean that they didn't understand it. It didn't mean that they didn't held it themselves. They just never talked about it. So I give you an analogy. There's a lot of men out there who absolutely love what Andrew Tate has to say, but they don't talk about it, because it's one of those things that catches attention. It catches the wrong eye. It gets the wrong people involved. So I've mentioned many times that I think Richard Hart is the Donald Trump, the Andrew Tate of crypto. So he has a lot of stuff that everybody who understands crypto, even on a surface level, understands that what he created is a real thing, is real DeFi. But just because of all the controversy that's behind it, they can't talk about it. And especially if you have a business that's relied on outside sponsors.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of people saying, hey, we'll give you money if you talk about this, but you can't talk about this, because even the people who created the fake stuff, they all know that Richard Hart's products are the real thing. Yeah. So if you think about it from a market share perspective, that's those Richard Hart's products are taking away market share from the bullshit products that are being promoted on those shows. So it takes about 2-3 cycles until people say, you know what, this is no longer bullshit. This is actually has some value. And now that we're seeing HEX on a second cycle, it didn't die. Everything that should have killed it, and it didn't, right? It's still here.
Right. Definitely.
So like, you're going to see a lot of people start talking about it more openly.
Yeah.
Right. Because now it has credibility. And then just imagine what's going to happen when we beat the SEC. Right. Because the SEC it's what you call it's the circus. It's what the upper people who are in control of all of these different things, they use that to distract you. Right. And that's how I see it. They created the SEC scenario. What are you going to do? You can't stop PulseChain. You can't stop PulseX. You can't stop HEX. So what exactly are you doing? You're just creating a bunch of noise. So this noise is meant to distract the people, to create chaos, to create volatility. And usually in those moments of turmoil is when the people who actually understand the product is when they're capitalizing on it, such as myself, such as people like yourselves, people who actually but were buying the dip, right? People who understood that you can't shut it off. That's what real DeFi is. It's truly decentralized finance. And so in the combination with all that is that in the future, when it becomes, I guess, normal to talk about HEX, when it becomes acceptable to talk about HEX, you're going to see everybody say, oh yeah, I always believed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we know, and you brought up a good point, the producers have absolutely told them. We know for a fact that the producers of some of these big names have told them you can't talk about it. You know, it kind of ruins their model. And, you know, here's the one thing about BitBoy that I will add on. Rags brought up a very good comment the other day about it, and I wanted to share it with everybody here if they didn't hear it. BitBoy's like the millionaire who lost it all. You know, how many millionaires that lost it all can say, I could become a millionaire again in no time? Well, remember, his follower count was over 1 million. And I think that he's done it. So he knows what it takes to get it there. You know, as much controversy as it brings, that's 1 million people that, you know, are going to hear now that he's talking about it. He wants to make a documentary about how it's not a security. There's a lot of things, you know. So, you know, as a community, we have to kind of embrace that even with the bad comes all the good and the views. So I think people just need to remember that where he was, and, you know, he'll get there. He'll get there again. And we sure can, you know, use the extra eyes on it. So.
Yeah. And what's ironic is that the HEX community is what's going to give him that catapult to getting back to that.
Yeah.
Because we're, I mean, you see it even when I look on Twitter every now and then, I see one of the guys, something Boi Crypto, he says, look at the engagement, and he just hashtags our community, and then he just blows up from that little tweet. But that's just, it goes to show that we're the biggest community is that exist out there.
Oh yeah.
So everybody else has to survive on basically VC funding and dumping on retail. We survive because the actual product is the real deal. And not many cryptos can say that.
Well, we were bonded by COVID. You know, when COVID happened, we all kind of, this community is when it really formed at its core. We were all bored at home, sitting in front of a computer. And, you know, many people became really good friends. The streamers started talking. We became this, you know, grassroots community who locked their funds up for 15 years. Well, now guess what you've got? You've got a group of people that are locked up for a very long time and very passionate about what they believe in. And, you know, you can't get that anywhere else. You know, people will comment all the time how loud the Hexicans are, you know, when they want to be. It's amazing. So yeah, there's just nothing else out there like it.